So today I wanted to share about some topics that I learned in my group. It was called Living Deeply with a Sacred Text. And each of us had a verse. Each year it changes. We got a new one on the holiday of Simchas Torah when we do the Kriyas Torah, the reading of the Torah. And I want to share about personal contact versus amusement, suspense, having the heart warmed. The idea is that one-to-one basis can be established, or honest attempts at least, as the most valuable effort to touch someone. It's welcomed even when the person's immature. And there's this idea that kind of like, I'm willing to be a better partner. I'm willing to be more righteous, more kind, more peaceful, more honest. So this idea that we are being reborn, and how much contact is possible. Like, think about a man. If I would be with a man, how reliable is he as my identity shifts? You know, it died. Think about my identity dying. I'm clinging to it. And instead of flowing through, like, life changes as I'm changing, life changes. So these are my projections onto a man of what a man needs to do, ideally, to be worthy. Me too. Like, so really when we want someone to help us grow, we're actually asking them sometimes to hold our dead body, our dead identity, as we are reborn into a new one. Could we rely on someone for that? Or could we do that? Could we have that direct contact? Who can do it? So that's about grief and rage. We break open, we break through. They're waiting for us, this grief and this rage, in the repressed desires that each of us open ourselves up to more and more, learning that we cannot trust any one person for everything, completely, all the time. We have to be realistic, not only about who we trust, but for what not, when or when not. For example, I remember I had this identity, and from other people's view, I started to learn it was like a bull in a china shop, ungainly, monstrous, pushy, being loud, begging for attention by being loud. And I remember it was like a defense in advance from intimacy. No one could make direct contact because it would be so messy and chaotic. They wouldn't want to get close, right? So as we focus on this, like yesterday's video about self-disclosure, being ourself and then expressing that self and disclosing that self, and even using words like doing activations in the morning. We know we need to have nurturing space as well, and asking ourselves, what do we want to keep with us? Like, consciously growing is to the past versions of us die. Sometimes pruning is involved for the plant. So what do we keep with us from the deaths that we had? And I remember I had a friend, she wanted to do a tarot spread for me, and I don't know if she knew I was Jewish or that we don't really do this kind of things as a practice to learn, but I wanted to hear more. So she did it once, and I found it very interesting. I thought I wanted to try it. So there's this this is like kind of like the last time I think I ever. Actually, you know what? I'm going to back up. I once had a deck of like as I go back in my past, I recognize I tried a lot of things. I was looking for reassurance and guidance and meaningfulness, and I did try many of these things. And I remember I was kind of like off of it for a while because I was trying to like do it a different way, like connecting with my roots. And like I said, Jewish people are not so into tarot or those kind of things. So she did it for me, and I liked it, but I also wanted to try it out. I think it's the last time I tried it. I haven't done it in a long time. So there was this spread. There's 4, like one on top, one on bottom, one on left, one on right. Then there's one in the middle, and then there's, So I got the Sun, the Hermit, 4 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune, the classic tarot kind of, and the Devil card. So I thought about there was once a time I had like this spiritual moment where I felt like I can't blame anyone to be the devil anymore. What if I'm the devil? Not to say that I'm the bad one that causes others to sin, but what if the I, this personality, the character, is when I'm identifying with what I would think is the devil. Let's say it's petty, let's say it's angry, a rageful person. So for me, mine now, the proof, being invincible, being infallible. So like this possession, the selfishness, and even like dictatorship, tyranny, control. Like there's this character in the story of Adam and Eve called Lily. Her name ends with a TH. She stayed with Adam until Eve was like made from him. And then she was alone. And some say she was the first Eve, but Adam didn't like that he saw her growing. He couldn't make that direct contact with her. So another example is Paro from Egypt. A new Paro arose and got afraid that Joseph, who saved his entire kingdom through a magical story, an amazing story where his brothers were scared that his dreams were going to come true, his sleeping dreams, where he was going to become ruler over them. And so they were going to kill him. It's very hard to believe because they were righteous people. And then they thought maybe he's like really a sinner. They were not sure what to do. They put him in a pit. One of the brothers put him in a pit, and he thought, I'm going to come back and get him. During that time, the other brother sold him. He went as a slave to Egypt, ended up in prison, deciphered a dream for the Paro's servants. He was correct. They went back to Paro. They forgot about him, but then they remembered when Paro had disturbing dreams. Joseph prophesied and guided him, reassured him, and then became second to the king, saved his entire kingdom, and actually his family came to visit. He during a famine all over the world, and he, or at least in that whole area, and he disclosed his identity. They fell out on each other, him and his younger brother from the same mother, crying. It was a beautiful story until after Joseph died. Eventually, there was a new Paro, or it says he became afraid that the Jews were going to take over. So he turned them into slaves. So we can see that these are patterns, devilish patterns. Like you let someone get close to you and then you're afraid they're going to hurt you. Or we can't both be okay. One of us has to be suffering. These are patterns of the devil. So even though I would say tarot is not something that I need to practice, as I'm sharing here, it's like this idea that we learn about through symbols and archetypes. And in Hebrew, actually, we don't say devil, we say Yetzer Hara, the evil intent. And everyone has a Yetzer Tov, Yetzer Hara, goodwill, bad will. And in terms of the other parts of the spread, I thought if I don't stay in the all, in the intro, possibility, preformative, predefined, etc., then the devil tries to come in by my hand into my center. In other words, I am the one responsible for creating a space. If I don't stay in the flow, like if I stay with that dead or the dying version of me and don't want to let it go, and it becomes like a wall around it, or a crust, thinking of a bug, like an exoskeleton. We're supposed to have an endoskeleton. It's supposed to be a core identity that's strong, and the outside could get knocked around a little by life, but still be, okay, Google, turn off the alarm. The outside identity could be adaptive, and so one way in which we can all grow is to not be so oversensitive to criticism. If our true self knows we're worthy, we're adequate, we are valuable, the little things about what we do or how we behave in the world is not so devastating. So as we ask for details in life, we can recognize that our real identity is so much more valuable than the false identity. All expressions and truths come from the groundbreaking version of myself and can raise the roof, right? So there's times of clarity where we have to consider also the future. For example, right now, maybe I'm not doing it as I should be. Couldn't I be better in the future? Am I being a little bit lazy? What are some ways I could save my energy? And knowing also, like, we don't really get away with anything. We push things off for later, or we hide things, but it could all come out. Eventually, everything is balanced. All the checkbooks of spirituality and energy and magnetism are balanced out. Things balance out. They do it naturally. These principles, like even in water, when you have more salt on one side, it balances out to the other side. So contradictions balance and allow for balance in the approach. It really is based on data. So for example, you have someone who's like says really nice things to you, but they don't treat you very well. It actually is giving you a balance in how you could treat them. If they were always nice to you and spoke nice to you, you might not be able to look at the data of what you want, who you want to be around. You might feel you have to. So there really is sometimes that gap between is, a protection really for them and for us. Because how we approach situations can change by how sensitive we are. Like if this person's words and actions don't match, we're not going to take it as personally. And also for them, they're not going to be able to have such a big impact on us that they can't just speak freely. And I want to make one more comment that when we mistake ourselves for our appearance or acquaintance level of popularity or socioeconomic status or relationship milestones, like if someone got engaged or married or had a baby through childbirth, or physically extraordinary abilities or fascinating mental tricks, or the reputation of innocence, abundance, agreeableness, any of those things could potentially change. I would say, God forbid, like we want to keep everything, when it feels good or how we want, but the truth is life is always changing. So we have to really keep that core self strong no matter what. Just because someone's a mother doesn't mean there's not all kinds of mothers. And one thing we can do when we feel criticized, as I mentioned, there was one tool I gave, which was ask for details. So if someone says, you're really stupid, you say, I have no idea why you're saying that. It sounds like like you're calling me names, but can you tell me more about what you feel I'm stupid in? Or did I do something that you didn't like that I did? Did you tell me something and I forgot it? And the next tool is agree with the truth or the right to an opinion. So if somebody says, that dress looks bad on you, you have such bad style, you could say, oh, I hear that you're saying this dress doesn't look flattering. The truth is that it got shrunk in the wash and then in the dryer. And you're just letting the truth part of it be true. You're not addressing that you never have style. And then the other thing is the right to an opinion. You could say, okay, you're allowed to have your own style. I get it. Or I'm not your style, my clothing's not your style, or whatever. So this idea, it's like a tool. Instead of thinking it's about you, try using a tool. Anyway, that's it for now. We just finished book 8, and I look forward to starting the new book tomorrow, God willing. Be well. Bye.